We all find ourselves in disagreements, don't we? Especially, with the people we live with day in and day out.
Oh, absolutely. It's just part of being human, sharing space.
But how often do we actually stop to understand how we engage in conflict, or even why we do it in the first place? It feels like something that yeah, it just happens.
That's a great point. We often react in the moment without much reflection.
Well, today in this deep dive, we're plunging headfirst into that fascinating and, let's be honest, often frustrating world of verbal conflict and communication in relationships.
Sounds good.
And we're pulling our insights from maybe an unexpected source. It's the sharp, witty observations of a stand-up comedian.
Ah, using humor to get at deeper truths. I like it.
Our mission today is to unpack the different ways generations have handled arguments, identify common communication pitfalls like stonewalling,
Yes. Crucial concept.
and discover some surprising insights into how we can all get better at resolving conflict. And I really mean resolving it, not just, winning.
That's the key distinction, isn't it? Resolution over winning.
You're basically about to gain a shortcut to understanding those tricky relational dynamics you encounter every single day.
And it's a brilliant choice of source, I think. Using a comedian's take might seem, well, unconventional for conflict.
A little bit, yeah.
But humor can really cut through the noise, can't it? It reveals these profound truths about how we behave, often in ways that are more direct than, say, a dry academic paper.
Definitely hits differently.
So we'll connect these funny anecdotes to broader psychological ideas and, most importantly, give you some practical takeaways for your own life.
Perfect. So let's dive in. The comedian starts by focusing just on verbal fighting, not physical, obviously. And he gives this quick, kind of hilarious historical context.
Okay.
He suggests our grandparents' generation didn't fight much. His joke is that, well, grandfathers mostly just spoke more back then, and maybe countries were doing the fighting so couples didn't have to.
It's a funny line, but it does set up an interesting thought, doesn't it? Did earlier generations have different ways of handling disagreement? Less overt conflict, maybe? Or just different societal norms?
Yeah, different expectations, perhaps.
And it draws a really sharp contrast with the next generation he talks about, our parents' generation.
Right. He says for them, fighting often meant just not talking. For days sometimes.
The silent treatment.
Yeah, exactly. They'd handle the practical stuff, groceries, chores, whatever, but the deeper emotional connection, just off, shut down.
And that leads us right into that psychological concept you mentioned earlier, stonewalling. It's something the comedian illustrates so well, even if he doesn't use the clinical term.
Okay, so that dynamic, the not talking thing in the parents' generation, that really is stonewalling, isn't it? Can you unpack that a bit more? What does it actually look like, and why is it such a big deal in conflicts?
Absolutely. Stonewalling, it typically happens in really intense arguments. Often, though not always, you see it where one partner frequently, the man in heterosexual relationships, statistically speaking, feels overwhelmed or maybe just wants to protect their feelings.
Okay.
So they emotionally shut down, they stop communicating, they withdraw. It's like pulling at the drawbridge.
Right.
But at that exact moment, the other partner often needs connection the most. They want more talking, more engagement, and they feel abandoned or completely unheard when the other person just checks out.
So it's this total mismatch. One pulls away, the other leans in harder.
Exactly. A fundamental disconnect right when connection is most needed.
It's just like the comedian puts it, Dad's CPU is overheating and Windows is recommending shutting down.
Chuckles softly.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the Mac just gives you the spinning wheel of death.
Right. Poof, gone. He's nailing this tendency, this almost hardwired thing some men do, just emotionally disengage when it gets too much, like a system crash.
And while Dad's doing his digital detox.
Mental withdrawal, yeah.
Mom is often just as engaged, but maybe in a different way. She might throw out those lowball comments he mentions, trying to provoke any kind of reaction.
Like the classic, you're just like your father. Ouch.
Exactly. She's desperate for him to re-engage, to say something.
And while all this is going on, you've got the audience, as he calls them.
Ah, yes, the audience.
The grandparents, oblivious maybe, asking, when's dinner? Or where's the TV remote?
Practical concerns only.
And the kids just watching, taking it all in, while Dad, maybe he overeats, then has to leave, goes for that long drive.
Or a walk, yeah. Listening to specific music, like Mohammed Rafi, apparently. Perfecting, as the comedian says, the art of not communicating.
It's so specific, but it points to these fixed routines, doesn't it? Ways to structure life, maybe avoid the messy emotional stuff, personal space over talking it out.
Absolutely. It's a coping mechanism. He's physically present, maybe later, but emotionally he's checked out, just driving in circles, racking up the miles.
While mom, feeling left behind, gets extra productive. That rings so true. Rearranging closets, rewashing clothes that are already clean.
Looking at property papers even.
Right. And if you're the kid who's like, a good listener, she pulls you in, come here, you know what your father did. And you're 12, expecting maybe some praise, but nope. Emotional dumping ground.
It's funny because it's recognizable, but also quite poignant. You see the stress points for everyone involved.
Totally. It really shows how, for that generation he's describing, fights often didn't get resolved through talking things through, did they?
No, not through direct communication or emotional processing. They were resolved, or rather paused, by external things, time passing, an event.
Like dad comes back, ignores everyone, sits in his, quote, favorite chair.
His established domain,
Yeah.
occupied from 6:30 p.m. onwards because business hours are closed.
And he's got his morning ritual too, right? Up at 4:40 a.m. for that elaborate drink.
The almonds, the sesame seeds, the single tear of a Saharan camel.
Chuckles. It's so over the top, but the point isn't the weird ingredients, is it? It's the ritual.
It's the ritual. The structure is how they manage things, maybe avoided facing the emotional discomfort head on.
And mom's still simmering, serving food with no eye contact. That passive aggression.
The clear sign of resentment still there.
But dad, simple creature, short-term memory, according to the comedian. He's forgotten they were even fighting.
So the fight ends, not because they worked on it, but because
Diwali has come, or relatives are visiting. Suddenly everyone's dancing, happy family photo time.
it's a temporary truce, isn't it? The underlying issues. Still there, just swept under the rug until next time.
Which brings us to a really key insight from the comedian.
Yes.
He zeroes in on the purpose of conflict. He says we fight to resolve the fight, not to win it.
That is such a crucial point, especially if you live with someone 24/7. You can't really win ongoing disagreements. They're inevitable.
But if you don't resolve them, if you just paper over the cracks like that generation often did,
It starts building up, like pressure in a cooker.
and that's when it gets really messy. Constant irritation, that passive-aggressive 24/7 thing he talks about.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're driving, someone says, what a beautiful sunset, and the reply is, you never call me beautiful.
Sighs. Right. Clearly not about the sunset.
It's something from 6 months ago bubbling up, completely unrelated. This undercurrent of tension that just poisons things.
Makes every little interaction feel loaded, potentially explosive.
And speaking of unresolved stuff, he then looks at generational differences. This is fascinating. Millennials versus Gen Z on emotional intelligence.
Okay, how does he see that?
Well, he admits he wants to get good at fighting, reach pro level, because he wants his own relationship to last. But he calls millennials, his own generation,
Yeah.
terrible with anything, with feelings especially.
Oof. Harsh, but maybe some truth there.
He says when millennials feel low, what do? Run marathons, focus on hydration.
Ah, the external fixes. Trying to outrun the internal stuff.
He even jokes about millennials getting heart attacks at 34, calling it a manufacturing defect.
Mhm.
It's funny, but it's a sharp critique of maybe avoiding the feelings.
So how does he contrast that with Gen Z?
He sees Gen Z as much better at actually feeling what they feel, more emotionally literate, maybe.
Interesting. How so?
He describes them as mostly consistent, healthy mentally. If they're happy, they're happy. If they're sad, they'll actually sit with it, by the window, rain, lo-fi playlist, maybe vaping.
Chuckle softly. Embracing the mood.
Yeah, they seem more comfortable just experiencing the emotion, processing it, rather than trying to escape it or push it down. More vulnerability, perhaps?
That suggests a potential shift in how younger generations approach emotional well-being.
So, okay, bringing this all together, what does it mean for us? How do we get better at this conflict thing?
Well, the comedian boils it down to two main things, based on his experience.
Which are?
Therapy and verbalizing your feelings.
Okay, let's talk therapy first. He's been doing it for 6 years, calls it the best thing I've ever done.
That's a strong endorsement.
And he really pushes back against that old cuckoo stigma. Says you shouldn't wait until your brain has exploded.
It's proactive self-care, isn't it? Like a gym membership for your mind, not just an emergency room visit. Building emotional resilience.
Exactly. And the second thing, verbalizing feelings. Sounds simple.
Profoundly simple, yet incredibly difficult sometimes. He points out that for women, this might seem obvious. Duh, of course you verbalize feelings.
Right, seems standard.
But he highlights a big difference for men. a potential communication gap.
Ah, okay, explain that. What's the gap?
He says guys often experience emotions in these broad categories: happy, sad, angry, horny, tired, like the basic food groups of feelings.
Chuckles. The primary colors.
Kind of. They don't always have or haven't been taught the more nuanced vocabulary for things like grief, despair, sorrow, nostalgia.
Why not? Where does that come from?
He jokes it's because they weren't taught. While girls went off for higher studies in emotions, boys resolved everything like football. 90 minutes, game over, pass the ball, someone scores, maybe next time I'll pass. Quick, surface-level resolution, get it done, move on. Not necessarily deep emotional processing.
So less about understanding the feeling, more about just ending the conflict quickly.
That seems to be the tendency he's pointing out. And you can see how that sets up challenges in relationships, right?
Oh, totally. If one person wants to really dig in and talk feelings and the other just wants the whistle to blow,
Friction is almost guaranteed. Persistent misunderstandings, unresolved stuff keeps piling up.
so he shares this really powerful example from his own marriage with Tracy, how they take fighting seriously, aiming for that pro level to make it last.
Okay, so what do the pros do?
Well, one pro move is strategic timing. They bring up problems on a good day.
Smart, not when things are already heated.
Exactly, because otherwise you're already fighting about one thing, then you bring up something old, and suddenly you've got this double patty Maharaja Mac of problems.
Great analogy. Layering old issues onto new ones just makes it impossible.
So, good day, sit down, maybe even a yoga power pose, he jokes, and address it directly.
Okay, that takes discipline. What else?
He talks about yelling. Says men often yell like on a football field, thinking volume equals communication.
Volume equals winning the point, maybe they think.
Right. But it often backfires. Women react negatively, he says. Maybe it even reminds them of their dads yelling.
That's an interesting observation. Triggering past experiences?
He acknowledges women yell too, but maybe it lands differently. Perceived as assertive, not just loud. It's complex.
Gender dynamics in conflict are definitely complex.
Then comes the crying dynamic. He says this is huge for guys. A red alert.
The highest emotion, he called it.
Yeah. Says if his male friends cried during FIFA, they'd all awkwardly leave the room. Weird, cringe.
That societal conditioning around male emotion is strong.
But seeing Tracy cry is different. It's intense because they're in it together, they love each other, and both feel overwhelmed.
That shared vulnerability changes things.
And this is where Tracy makes her pro move. She'll actually say, ignore this. Ignore the tears coming out of my eyes and focus on the discussion.
Wow. That requires incredible self-awareness and control.
He says it's incredibly hard for the guy because the instinct is shut down, run away, go for that drive.
Right, the old
But
pattern.
just if you stay in the conversation despite the tears, that's when the breakthrough can happen.
What kind of breakthrough?
He says you both realize you're just children in the world trying to figure it out.
Ah, that shared humanity, that vulnerability, takes the fight down a level.
Exactly. And that's when the real insights come out. Tracy explains her passive aggression links back to her childhood. He explains his anger links back to his brother making fun of him.
Connecting present reactions to past experiences. That's huge for understanding each other.
It allows them to actually resolve the fight, understand each other better, and gain the strength to fight another day, but hopefully with more patience.
That's what real resolution looks like. Deeper understanding, not just silence.
But even after all this, he admits he still finds crying confusing, complicated.
It's a journey, understanding emotions, especially ones we weren't taught to engage with.
He tells this funny story about his 6-year-old niece, Bella. iPad gets taken away. She unleashes death metal crying. Just full-on intense wailing.
Chuckles. Been there.
He's totally baffled by the power of it. But Tracy just calmly observes, she knows you're soft, and Bella can apparently stop on a dime.
Ah, the strategic use of tears, perhaps, even at 6.
Which leaves him with this hilarious, maybe slightly serious question. Is any crying real? Though he clarifies, yeah, it was real for Bella in that moment of frustration. But it just highlights how complex emotional expression is.
It really does. It's layered. Context matters, intent matters, perception matters.
So wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive mean for you listening right now?
Well, we've covered a lot. The importance of actually verbalizing feelings.
Understanding those generational, maybe gendered differences in how we communicate.
The role therapy can play. not as a last resort,
Yeah.
but as resilience building.
And crucially, that need to truly resolve conflict for relationships to be healthy, not just avoid it or try to win.
And really understanding these dynamics, these patterns the comedian points out so sharply, it can genuinely change how you navigate your own relationships.
You feel more informed, right? More equipped, maybe.
Exactly. Moving beyond just reacting in the heat of the moment towards something more thoughtful, more connected.
So as you go about your day, maybe take a moment to reflect on your own patterns. We invite you to think. What emotions do you find hardest to put into words?
Or thinking about the people close to you. Do you recognize any of those CPU overheating signs? Or the extra productive coping mechanisms when arguments get tense?
How might just understanding these underlying patterns, these potential reasons behind the reactions, change how you approach your next difficult conversation? Something to think about.